go to Len Ramirez right now, who's been covering the protest since the very beginning. Len, I believe you've got some activity going on where you are?
Yes, I am at 7th and Santa Clara Street, right in front of the grocery outlet and elementary school here. And police have fired several rounds into the crowd, which sent probably 50 or so people running from the crowd, but then they kind of came back when the shots ceased. So there's still probably, I'd say 250 to 300 people, not in any one large group, but police appear to be making a stand right here. They do appear to be surrounded. There's protesters in front of them, on the sides of them, over on 7th Street, as well as up and down Santa Clara Street. So there's a small force of officers, and they're almost circling, almost like circling the wagon. Now there's an announcement. Okay, now they have declared it an unlawful assembly. And so now that clears the way for force to be used to disperse the crowd in any means the police officers or the commander on the scene sees necessary. This has been declared an unlawful assembly. People are not leaving, so there will be some sort of push coming to shove here on Santa Clara Street at 7th.
Well, then, had there been announcements before that to disperse?
I was walking up the block. I couldn't understand what was being said, but there were some announcements being said to disperse the crowd. Then just a few minutes ago, you might have heard it in the background, that the commander of the street units here declared this an unlawful assembly. And so police officers will now probably begin using some sort of force, although they appear to be vastly outnumbered by people standing around. Now, it's a crowd mostly holding up cardboard signs and things like that. Nobody's throwing anything. Nobody is fighting with police officers at this point. I see a woman burning something now. Some more shots are being fired in my direction. I'm going to get down.
All right, well, Len, please stay safe. If you need to touch base with us later on, please do so.
Yes.
Obviously, the call has been it's an unlawful assembly, and they're shouting some commands right now.
Right. Yeah, they're putting out over the loudspeaker now, telling people to disperse, but people are not dispersing. There's a lineup of motorcycle police officers, and they're on their motorcycles, and now it appears that they are physically moving the crowd. It's going to be westbound on Santa Clara Street from the grocery outlet, a couple of blocks over to the City Hall area. So the cops are moving. They're moving at a slow pace at this point, but they are moving the crowd. However, they are surrounded. There's now another explosion right there. Looks like there might be some tear gas. People are starting to throw water bottles at the police department. People in the crowd throwing some projectiles at the police department as shots continue to be, I don't know if this is tear gas or what, but shots continue to be fired at the protesters. The protesters at this point have their hands up, but they are walking backwards. They have their hands up, but they're walking backwards as police continue to aim these weapons that are firing tear gas or some other less projectiles at the crowd. It's a out-of-control situation at the moment.
And Len, we see a line of motorcycle officers directly behind the police officers who are walking the crowd backwards. We saw a cameraman or two getting shoved back. They were obviously too close and in the way. And are most of the demonstrators backing up with the line of officers? No one's tried to break through the line, are they?
I'm sorry, there's a lot of noise right now, and I'm right by the loudspeaker. But cops moved half a block, and then they stopped. So right now they're stopped, and it doesn't appear that the crowd is going away. They're just kind of moving them into different areas. Here comes a group of police officers. Now I'm going to get out of the way because they're starting to push. I'm going to run backwards They're pushing up protesters towards me. So, okay, that part of it ended. Cops are still here. People are still protesting. Everybody's got their cell phones out.
Mm-hmm.
It is a little bit out of control at the moment. Police are showing restraint at this moment.
We hear the no justice, no peace chant.
Yeah, you can hear the... there's some shots being fired as those projectiles. There's some protesters that continue to be right in the face of the officers.
It appears as if they're taunting them almost.
Now there's people throwing things at the police officers, and there's a split in the crowd. Some people saying stop throwing stuff, but projectiles continue to be thrown. We're seeing water bottles being thrown at this point. So now it's this standoff again. The officers have stopped. There's probably 24 police officers, which are the front line, and then behind them are the motorcycle officers. You can probably see, I don't have a monitor in front of me. I don't know what you're looking at, but are you looking at the street scenes here?
Yes, we are. We can see the line of police officers with the motorcycles behind them.
Great. Okay, so I'm right behind that camera position that you're watching. And you can see that the police officers are on the move again.
And are they trying to move the crowd back? Len, what are they trying to do?
I'm wondering, where are they going to move them to?
They're pushing the crowd. They're trying to disperse the crowd. But the crowd is just moving back, but they're not going anywhere per se. So every time that they move, they only clear space behind them, a block or two at this point. But this continues to be a confrontation. People are yelling at the police department as the police department is pushing them back.
We can see them getting into physical.
Yeah,
There's an officer swinging.
Now, there's a scuffle right here in front of us. We got some protesters really getting in the face of the officers, and the officers are not having any of it at this point. Tensions are starting to flare. We got agitators. We got cops going after people, and heads are starting to roll. We got a big confrontation right in front of us here. This is getting out of control. The police department has had enough of this, and they are putting an end to it right here. They have one man on the ground. One man on the ground. The crowd is backed up right into the City Hall Plaza. We have one man being arrested. We have four police officers on him. He's getting the zip tie, handcuffs on him right now. He's going to jail.
There's a huge number of officers surrounding that arrest.
Mostly, now it's a young man. He's shaking his head. I can see him. He's on the ground, face down. He's got his head up though. He's breathing. Police department is putting zip tie handcuffs on him. They continue to talk about the unlawful assembly, and that man who was arrested is being brought to his feet, and he's being going to be walked away to a patrol car, and I'm sure taken to jail. But that's the way it's been. There's been moments of calm followed by moments of officers pushing. They see somebody throwing something, they go after that individual. 3 or 4 officers will take that individual down, and then they'll kind of hold their position, see what the crowd does next.
And Len,
now the crowd, yeah, go ahead.
No, I know it's hard for you to hear me, so I'm going to talk kind of loud. But what I also think I heard in the background was police telling the demonstrators, do not put your hands on police.
Yeah, I mean, that would be foolish for anyone to do at this point.
I think that's what that man did.
On an officer.
Yeah.
So if that was the case, that would be just pure foolishness at this point.
It's crossing the line, obviously. And
yeah, it would be. It's beyond taunting, because the police officers will, at that point, they will interpret that as an attack, and they will not stand for it.
So what we're looking at
we have
now,
a lineup.
yeah.
We're looking at a lineup of people on their knees. And now, them being on their knees means that they're not in a position to really back up. So it remains to be seen if they are going to just allow themselves to be either arrested or pushed back by the officers physically. But now the crowd is shouting, "I can't breathe." I'm standing in a crowd of maybe 60 people with that are on their knees saying, "I can't breathe," at the police department.
Well, Len, you
now
have
we
to
have,
wonder, is it still unlawful assembly, or is this a peaceful
Let's
protest?
listen. There it is.
In the name of the people of the state of California, I command you to immediately disperse. Everybody, go westbound on Santa Clara Street toward 4th Street.
Well, there it was, Juliet, as you asked. The unlawful assembly
Westbound.
declared again.
That's right. And now there's a few of the protesters are defying the officers by getting in space. I see in one of the lead positions here is Reverend Jethro Moore, president of the NAACP.
Is he the gentleman in the plaid
He's
coat
the gentleman
and
in the hat.
Mhm.
He has a checkered jacket
Yeah.
and a hat. That's Reverend Jethro Moore. He is a long-standing activist here in San Jose. He's got his head down and he's on a knee. He is a spiritual leader. He works for the Eastside Union High School District, counseling troubled youth. And he is on the front line right now.
All right, Len Ramirez, we're gonna check back with you. Stay safe as always.